Dari, thank you. This is Bryant-Denny Stadium, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the reigning national champions take the field. Nick Saban and his Crimson Tide heavy favorites tonight against Southern Miss. But if you've been paying attention to college football, we know on this wild Saturday, anything can happen. Southern Miss in town from Conference USA made the drive over from Hattiesburg, and we are ready to go in T-Town. SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile. Welcome everybody, Tuscaloosa. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kublik down on the field. You know about Alabama. They've won 17 in a row. They got 2 ranked wins already this season, yet even with the win on the road to Florida last week, Jordan, everybody said Bama's vulnerable. Do they look that way to you?
I think they did look a little vulnerable. Their first real test against a good Florida defense, and they didn't have an offensive play over 30 yards, held under 35 points for the first time since 2018. And you go, why? Why did this happen? Well, they didn't run the football well. In this offense, the explosive plays are based out of play action. So if you don't run the football well, those openings downfield aren't there. So look for them to start with that, and then those explosive plays will come back later in the game.
See where they rank in conference. It was a key for them last year. Meanwhile, on the other side, Cole, defensively, Alabama is typically stout against the run. That hasn't been the case so far.
No, absolutely not. Yards per carry obviously was terrible last week against Florida. Only the second time under Nick Saban that Alabama has allowed a team to rush for 4 touchdowns in the football game. And Tom, it wasn't about the calls as much as it was about the discipline. The run fits, not where they needed to be. You saw defensive linemen and linebackers running into one another. And then when stunts and pressures in games came, you saw defensive linemen run into each other. You saw linebackers in the wrong gaps. The fits did not fit where they needed to. The assignments were not what they needed to be. Those things can be cleaned up, and they're going to get a good opportunity to start it here tonight against Southern Miss.
They also, Cole, want to be better at running the football. Brian Robinson Jr. has been limited in practice this week. What have you seen? What do you expect tonight?
Nick Saban told us that he would be a game-time decision, but he was moving around fairly well in warm-ups. Just ran out with the team. I saw him. He seemed to be moving around a little bit better than I anticipated, so he's in pads. He's dressed out. I would expect that he'll get a few carries tonight.
All right, we'll see exactly what the future holds in store for B-Rob coming here shortly. You see, he is uniformed. Southern Miss won the toss. They've deferred. Alabama will receive, and that young man, Bryce Young, will get a crack at it. 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Nobody else in the country could say that coming into the weekend.
Yeah, extremely talented, and the number one thing Nick Saban wants out of his quarterback is to protect the football. He does that extremely well while managing risk. Again, the shots downfield weren't there from a schematic standpoint. It will be tonight.
A night game in Tuscaloosa, and the home crowd is ready. There's a great history between these programs. Southern Miss has notched a handful of notable wins, whether it's Brett Favre at quarterback or handing Bear Bryant his final home loss at Bryant-Denny. Do they have the power to hang in this one? We will find out. Biggs Bourgeois will kick it off. Jamison Williams to receive. Williams wants to bring it out. Got a seam, got speed, got touch at the 35, but stayed up. What a way to start the game. Touchdown, Alabama 100. The Ohio State transfer takes it to the house. We're going to have to wait to see Bryce Young.
I mentioned no explosive plays last week. Well, I know this was an offense, but man, Jamison Williams is increasingly becoming one of the most valuable players to Alabama. That's one of the reasons why.
Will Riker punches it through. Lane Kiffin said this week it's almost unfair. He recruits 5 stars, then he goes picks a roster of someplace like Ohio State. You get a dude like this.
I mean, how is it that he was 3rd on that Ohio Ohio State depth chart, wasn't really getting the football. The skill set is off the charts. As soon as he got into green grass, there is nobody in the country that is catching number 1 for Bama. The vision, and man, after a flat week, a win that maybe felt like a loss for a lot of Alabama fans and probably inside that locker room as well. What a way to start.
Yeah, that's a heck of a start for Jamison Williams and the Crimson Tide. Southern Miss has been a very good defensive team over the course of this season. Their holds are on the offensive side for head coach Will Hall, who played in this state up at North Al. Was a fantastic quarterback in his playing days. First year as a head coach at Southern Miss in his hometown. Last time Bama had a kickoff return for a score, Jalen Waddle in the Iron Bowl against Auburn 2019.
Jamison Williams got a lot of Jalen Waddle in him as well.
Cameron Harrell from the 2. Tripped up at the 20. Southern Miss has had to turn to its second-string quarterback already early in the season due to an injury, and it's a Mississippi product, Ty Keys from Little Taylorsville, Mississippi in Smith County. He put up big-time numbers, 3-time Mr. Football in this state. This guy throughout his career threw for nearly 15,000 yards and 155 touchdowns. Started as a freshman in high school, starting as a freshman in college. But you don't play Alabama in high school.
No, but I will say, Will Hall did mention starting at Taylorsville High School, a lot more pressure than even playing in front of Alabama. So a kid that's used to winning and used to pressure.
He's flushed from the pocket on first down and will launch that one out of bounds.
I'm not saying I believe it.
No, but that's what was said.
Yep.
Keys got his first career start against Troy, the 8th true freshman to start for Southern Miss since 1987 at quarterback. I mean, Taylorsville isn't tiny. They got a Piggly Wiggly, but still, there are more people in one section here tonight than there are in his entire hometown.
Yeah, a lot of pressure early on for a quarterback now just making his second career start. Got to get him an easy throw early. Get him in rhythm. Get him going.
Familiar name in the backfield, Frank Gore Jr. And they get to Gore out of the backfield, and Gore immediately gets escorted out of bounds. It'll be 3 yards on the game. Marco Hellam's in on that tackle for Alabama. He has been limited and maybe still not 100%, but out there on game day.
Third down passing situation here. This offensive line for Southern Miss is really big, but not fleet of foot. Watch out for number 31, Will Anderson. They're going to move him around. Sometimes he's outside, sometimes he's inside, but he's the guy that's going to get after a quarterback on a third down.
Going 5 down to get one-on-ones.
Movement on the left side, and here's where you tell you that Bryson Mays, the left tackle, number 51, is getting a rare start today. They've had to shuffle the entire line. Arvin Fletcher, the starting center, a senior, is out for this game for Southern Miss. And Cole, they're backed up. It's 3rd and long. You got guys changing positions. Can't be comfortable.
No, it's not good. When you're backed up here next to the student section, I'll tell you, down at field level, and I'm down in the end zone, it's a little bit louder than you would think for Southern Miss first series. Communication going to be an issue. And like we mentioned before, 5 down from Pete Golding. Now he's going to go to a little bit more of a 3-man front. So you could see some more double teams depending on the pressure.
Movement on the right side wasn't caught, and a double slant's incomplete behind his intended receiver.
That's a good call on a 3rd down. 3 slants to the field, allow your quarterback to sort through, find the option, but just a ball way behind his receivers. You can tell the nerves are there for Ty Keys, and that crowd definitely got to him.
Mason Hunt to punt it away for the Golden Eagles. JoJo Earl handles it with a fair catch after a 40-yard punt. We will see Alabama's offense for the first time. They have a 7-0 lead thanks to a 100-yard kickoff return for Jamison Williams. And so Bryce Young will take the field with the lead tonight at home. Here's Bryce Young, sophomore from Pasadena, California, out of Mater Dei, number 5 recruit in 2020, highest quarterback rating in Alabama history, and he has thrown 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions coming into this game. Best start of anybody in college football. He's got Jace McClellan starting at running back. We'll wait and see if Brian Robinson Jr. finds some time if he's healthy enough. Little play action on the first play, and they will swing it out to Mechie. Well, Nick Saban told us this week that it's not about the RPO for them. It's about getting back to what Mac Jones did so well, running the play action and hitting on deep balls.
Yeah, one of the best teams last year at pushing the ball downfield off the play action. That time right there, well, it's tough to establish that before you establish the run, right? I like taking a shot early, but Southern Miss was all over that one. Got to get the ground game going for play action to be effective.
On 2nd and 16, McClellan, who got rave reviews from Saban about his abilities, but Cole, one thing that he wants to make sure his running backs can do is really press the hole.
Well, pressing the line of scrimmage important for a running back. Obviously, you have to give your offensive line time to get on and through your blocks. Plays take time to develop, but if a running back just takes the football and goes 100 miles an hour north and south, that play doesn't have time to develop, especially a zone scheme play. You need to wait and see what the defense does and how it plays out.
Jamison Williams motions to the slot. It's 3rd and 13. Southern Miss only brings 4. Young to the outside. Caught in an Alabama first down. John Mechie.
This is such a good throw from the far hash. He's going to get quarter, half, which means there's a high safety, 2 high safeties to the field. The open spot is the flats, but look at that defender. He's got to get that up and over. It's about a 35-yard throw right on the money.
Back to the ground game, and there is room. Pressing the line is McClellan, a sophomore from Aledo, Texas, who picks up 6, and now Bama rolling it a little bit.
Boy, pretty big double team over here by Evan Neal and Javion Cohen. 70 Javion Cohen left guard has played excellent football this year. And hey, listen, you get 305 and 350 leaning on you, you're probably going backwards.
Southern Miss has been fantastic against the run, second only to Wisconsin coming into this one. Young has time, pocket holds, and he'll float one in for a big-time completion to Jaleel Billingsley. Out of the doghouse into the red zone.
That's a great concept here. Shot play again. Southern Miss is playing up over the top. Watch these routes take the deep defenders, and Billingsley's going to cross the field that way and slip right underneath that over the top coverage.
Here's Mechie again, trying to set up a little screen, and he's got nowhere to go. Big time play by Jay Stanley, Ole Miss transfer. Cole, you had a chance to talk with Austin Armstrong, the young defensive coordinator for Southern Miss. How do you expect them to play Alabama early in this game?
Well, he wanted to move the front early on, and you kind of saw it. First play of the game, a little bit of run stun inside between defensive tackles, and then you saw a stun on that previous play on the completion to Billingsley as well. He knows he can't sit still, but has to mix some things up in the front and on the back end.
Bama's expecting some pressure. This time, McClellan bottled up. He finds 2.
It was interesting. We spoke to Austin Armstrong, the defensive coordinator for Southern Miss, on the field about number 19 for Alabama, Jaleel Billingsley. Specifically, he said, you know, it's interesting. They're not splitting him out as much as they did last year. And what do you know? First big play, he was split out as a receiver, not attached as a tight end.
Armstrong, true baby blues. He's the youngest coordinator in the FBS, just 28 years old, high school class of 2011. And he's trying to coordinate against Bill O'Brien. On 3rd and 8 to the end zone, Billingsley. Beautiful catch for a touchdown. Well, there you go. The tight end who was 3rd on the depth chart to open the season with touchdowns in consecutive games. Will Reichert for the point after. He stays perfect. Have Billingsley get open.
Boy, once again, using him split out like a wide receiver, this time in a bunch. So he's going to have two receivers again here. They're going to open up this coverage and a little wheel route behind to set up man-to-man. Right? You got a team that wants to play up over the top. Great. Take them there and get a man matchup underneath for your athletic tight end, and a great ball by Bryce Young, Alabama, 14.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G network. And in part by Farm Ridge. Grab a snack.
Well, perhaps the greatest win in Southern Miss history, handing Bear Bryant a loss. It's Jim Carmody on the right, the first year Southern Miss head coach. He had a great quarterback in Reggie Collier. It was one of only 2 losses for Bear Bryant at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The other one came to Florida. And what made that one so painful? It ended Alabama's 57-game home win streak at the time. Carmody and Southern Miss had the nasty bunch. Coldest Alabama defense could be nasty.
And when execution is on point, we see how it works. It wasn't always the calls from Pete Golding. This is a 4-man stunt up front. Very rare that you get those. Watch the head of the left guard. Now, Drew Sanders is going to come inside, but left guard is used to this being a 2-man game on the outside. Well, the looper comes from the opposite side of the offensive line, so he's completely lost. It's not just the inside move of Drew Sanders, Jordan.
And you saw the interception. There's a quarterback. When I don't see pressure coming, I'm more relaxed in the pocket. Yet you get loopers, get hit in the face when you're not expecting it. That's when those turnover-worthy plays happen.
Defensive coordinator Pete Golding. They're pitching a shutout so far. Frank Gore Jr. on the play action to him. They'll swing it out of the backfield, and physical play by Jalen Armour Davis will be a loss of 1. The net on the completion to Chandler Pittman.
Boy, a Southern Miss receiver just tried to block Jordan Battle, and Jordan Battle said, not today. He tossed him on his butt. It's a way to start.
2nd and 11. Over the middle, that's complete, and the tight end Grayson Gunner will rumble for a first down. All right, we've seen great Alabama, and now, Cole, there's also evidence of when they're not executing.
Right, when the execution doesn't go well. This is a tackle twist on the inside of the defensive line. I can promise you, one thing not supposed to happen is what you're going to see on your screen right now. The 2 D tackles run into one another. That gives you a lot of space to throw the football, Jordan.
Yeah, when you don't have pressure in your face as a quarterback, you can dial up a back shoulder, perfectly accurate throw against great coverage. That defensive line twist, pressure or no pressure, makes all the difference.
We'll watch that defensive line today. The real talent, the youth of the Alabama defensive line, as Gore takes up one right into the heart of it. Christian Harris, the tackle. Talking with Pete Golding yesterday, Cole, he told us, I got my young guys that have incredible talent. If I can get them to do what they're supposed to do, the ceiling is really high for them. The older players on that Alabama defensive line can do their job, and they know what they're supposed to do, but the inference was that the younger guys have more upside.
Well, and I think, Tom, it fits right into the narrative that we were just discussing, and that is inconsistency. This young group of defensive linemen for Alabama that normally would apply some depth for what Nick Saban has just been too inconsistent to grab meaningful reps.
Delayed pressure that time from Christian Harris. They force the incompletion. It'll get loud on this 3rd and 8.
Anderson's going to be working on left tackle. Takeem Doss, 6'5", 360 at left tackle. He's a big body. But if Will Anderson gets a good rush on the outside, this ball better come out quick.
Anderson goes inside. Keys once again finds his tight end. 2nd first down for the Arkansas transfer. Grayson Gunner's got plenty of SEC experience.
And a 4-man twist up front, so no pressure on the quarterback. And a great job there. A little busted coverage. I think linebacker Henry To'oTo'o was a little late getting over there. That's 2 good plays to the tight end here on this drive for Southern Miss.
Jordan, I told Pete Golding, I said, I hadn't seen a lot of these 4-man games up front. He goes, oh, we got more of them. Don't worry, we got more.
Just did another one.
Freshman quarterback Ty Keys. Here's Gore. fights for a yard. Will Anderson in on the stop.
You notice a lot of the, call it eye candy, right? Some of this lateral movement before the snap. A lot of split zone stuff is what Alabama really struggled with against Florida. Christian Harris, Henry To'oTo'o, their eyes have got to be in the right spots. Can't be distracted by motion going one way and a run coming back the other.
And some of that Pete Golding told us is about Henry To'oTo'o trying to do too much from a communication standpoint. Get to that in a moment. Another swing pass and a nifty move to the outside, and that's Chandler Pittman who picks up 7. Pete Golding said, I finally told To'oTo'o, do your job. Once you set the front, it's up to the guys on the line to know what their job is. If you're caught communicating to them too late before the snap, then you're going to get away from what you're supposed to do. Gore stopped on 3rd and 2. Christian Harris with the stop. So 4th and a long 1 or a short 2.
Yeah, I feel like this is rolling the dice.
They're going to go big, bring in multiple tight ends.
Yeah, got to go for it here. A really good drive by Southern Miss. Couple big first down pickups to keep the momentum going.
I think it's fair to say that Southern Miss's big is relative to Alabama's big.
Yes. Well, hey, did you expect them to drive all the way down on this? No,
not yet.
First chance at it.
2 for 4 on 4th down this season. Cole Cavallo is the fullback. Play action, swing, and that is intercepted off the carom. Picked up by DeMarco Helms. An Alabama takeaway after Southern Miss had the perfect play drawn up.
A great play. Get your quarterback a little bit outside the pocket. He actually misses the read, though. He tries to throw the corner route that was heavily covered. He had a tight end in the flat for an easy first down pickup, and he just missed it.
Jordan Battle got his hands on it. DeMarcus Helms ends up with it. 4th down stop for Alabama, and it's another tied takeaway. This season, Allstate will celebrate every field goal and extra point made by participating universities by making a donation to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. Clemson upset on the road today at NC State, lost in double overtime, 27-21, and right now Tennessee leads at Florida by 4. Here's Jace McClellan. He's got room on the edge. And McClellan takes it into Southern Miss territory with a 27-yard run.
Great lead block by Jamison Williams, coming down and cracking on a linebacker to open things up there for Jace McClellan.
Had 3 touchdowns 3 ways against Mercer a couple weeks ago. McClellan cut down, no gain.
And he's only about 190 pounds, but watch how he comes in here. Wow, come on. It looked better live. We slowed it down a little bit there. I swear it looked better live. But a great job getting in there and getting physical.
I got no problem showing wide receivers blocking anytime you want to get to. Love it. Call it 2nd and 9 now. Bryce Young off to a perfect 5 for 5 start. Here's that play action. Back to the line of scrimmage. Fires deep and incomplete. It was something that was different last year with Mac Jones turning his back to the line of scrimmage as opposed to, say, Tua, where so much was built off the RPO.
Yeah, haven't done a lot of the pistol formation this year, but you saw it right there. It was a staple under Mac Jones. It's just a way to give the illusion of the hard play action fake to those linebackers. Trust me, anytime a safety or a linebacker sees the quarterback turn their back, it's like a magnet. It brings you up, and that's when you get hit over the top.
Isn't that also tougher for a quarterback to then find his target?
Got to be better pre-snap, knowing exactly or hoping to know exactly what the defense is going to do, then double checking once you flip around.
Bama 2-2 on 3rd down tonight. Pressure coming. Young didn't see it till late. Escapes it. Throws wide open. Slade Bolden. And Bolden gets wrestled down inside the 30. Goes from a sack to a 20-yard gain.
Just a free runner here. You're going to see the nickel come on a blitz. Line was sliding the opposite direction, but this is where Bryce Young is at his best, stepping up, moving when there's pressure in his face.
Young 6 for 6. Here's McClellan, shifty in the hole, and he pushes it all the way out to a gain of 7. They pressure Bryce Young a lot. He doesn't seem to get phased.
No, I mean, he's unbelievable at keeping his eyes downfield, navigating the pocket, and delivering those explosive plays. Yeah, he could take off and pick up 5 or 6, or he could rip one downfield and really hurt a defense.
Here's Mechie looking for a block. He got a couple of them, and then he ducks inside. Pylon. Ball came out. It was recovered in the end zone. They say he was down just outside of the goal line, even though Cameron Latu found the loose ball. It's a pickup of 20.
Oh, great spin move. And let's see. Yeah, he lost that for sure.
The ball was out. It should be a recovery by Latu and a touchdown if they want to stop it. They will not. Yep, they did.
Jace is going, oh, come on.
What do you got on anyway?
The ruling on the field is that the runner was out of bounds. That play is under review.
This should be Cameron Latu just found an Easter egg and picked up a touchdown.
Ball comes right out. Where does Latu grab this?
Heads up play by Cameron Latu. Initially they ruled him out of bounds, and Latu just scoops it up right inside the goal line.
That's one way.
I mean,
that's the easy way.
Just picking up crumbs. It's like walking right past the hostess stand at Chuck's Fish and finding an empty table.
That's why I was asking where the ball was, because that can't advance it if he fumbles that forward, right? So where did
on
it?
Fourth down you can't, but that would be legal.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, on fourth down, it'd be the spot of the fumble. Lee Hedrick is our referee tonight. SEC crew.
Tell you what, we were always taught only on fourth down or further game do you dive with the ball out like that, just because so many bad things can happen, right? That ball goes through the end zone. Then you got problems. You know, you love the effort on the outside, but also a great play there by Southern Miss. Jarring the ball loose, but any way you spin it, Alabama's sitting pretty.
Well, Cameron Latu's taken advantage of early playing time when Billingsley was behind him on the depth chart. He had a great game week 1.
It's a great shot right down the line.
After review, video evidence shows that the runner fumbled the ball prior to the goal line. However, it was recovered by a teammate for a touchdown.
And so the call on the field overruled by the replay booth. More than 65% of reviewed calls in the SEC have been overturned, and most of them take less than 90 seconds to do so. Reichert hasn't missed a point after since he put on his high school uniform, and that remains the case. It's a 21-0 lead for Alabama.
You know, I played indoor soccer in college, and used to call me the garbage man because I wasn't very good, but I would position myself so if anybody shot the goal and there was a ricochet, bam, I'd be right there for the easy knock-in. 81 right there is playing garbage man. He's just picking it up. Hey, touchdown.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What was better at Mandy, the indoor football facility or the indoor soccer facility?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
I thought you were going to say they were one and the same.
Well, they are, actually. I mean, well, yeah, that's a good point, yeah. There's only one.
Held Georgia to just 3 points in the second quarter today, the Commodores did.
That's one way to spin it.
So Young with a 24-yard completion, and then, pardon me, Mechie, then the fumble, and Latu picks it up. Only unfortunate part for Bryce Young, that's not a touchdown pass. Tuscaloosa light show here, 21-zip. Chance for a return, and a monster hit on that return. Special teams are special for Alabama. It was a wild year last year for everybody in college football, with COVID giving opportunities for players to sit out the season if they wanted to, opt out in many words, and it was a challenging season for Southern Miss. They fired their head coach. Well, Jay Hobson decided he was done coaching after the first game of the season. That was a Thursday night. By Sunday afternoon, they pulled the trigger. They end up with 3 different head coaches, including Scotty Walden, who was a candidate at one point, but left to take the bird in the hand, which was the Austin Peay job. Head coach Tim Billings, interim coach the last 5 games. They finished with a big win against Florida Atlantic. The one thing that it allowed is Gore gets spun around. By making a coaching change so early, they were allowed then to start the interview process incredibly early, and they end up with a guy who seems to be a perfect fit in Will Hall.
Perfect fit, and a guy that understands there's a lot of turmoil. It's going to take really developing this program from the ground up, understanding what type of players they want to recruit to fit the scheme, changing the culture. Look, it's going to take some time, he even admitted. But man, after interviews with Will Hall, I was extremely impressed. And I think he's the right man for the job.
Athletic director Jeremy McLean had been in the same conference as Hall, who had gone backwards after a head coach at the Division II level, said, I got to go be a coordinator if I want to get a head job at the FBS. Keys pressured, and he goes down. Will Anderson Jr. was waiting for him off the spin move. It's a loss of 10.
Boy, Will Anderson cleaned up, but watch Mathis here really providing the reason that Ty had to escape the pocket there, and Will Anderson, just like Cameron Latu, was able to clean up a little bit.
Third down, 22. Keys keeps it. Nice read. It'll give the punter some room after Christian Harris makes the tackle. And so Mason Hunt will come on for another punt. The school that produced Ray Guy, first punter in the College Football Hall of Fame, first round pick of the Raiders. Figures to use Mason Hunt multiple times tonight. JoJo Earl to return. Not a great punt. Earl from the near side of the 50. We got a flag early, but Earl with fireworks dips to the outside and taken out inside the 5. Mason Hunt, the punter, made the stop. As it stands, a 46-yard touchdown return for JoJo Earl. But a flag back at the 30.
Oh, he's something, huh?
Yeah.
You look at what they had last year, what they lost, you go, man, I don't know if they're going to replace a guy like Devontae and Jalen Waddle.
Holding on the return team number 7. That's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down.
And then all of a sudden, Jamison Williams and JoJo Earl.
Yeah, pretty good. By the way, can you imagine how good the team was at Aledo High School in Texas with JoJo Earl and Jace McClellan on the same squad?
You think anybody else touched the ball?
Yeah, hard to be a bad quarterback on that roster, right? Hand it off and dump it off.
Yeah. They'd been playing together since they were young tykes and on the same team in middle school. Parents got together and said, you know, pretty good program out in Aledo. How about we all pack up and as families move out there? And that was the decision. And then Earl was recruited to Alabama by McClellan, who was originally an Oklahoma commit. So here's Roydell Williams for the first time, and Williams says, how about some playing time for me? He picks up 16.
And Alabama with 2 tight ends in the game, but this is their heavy 12 personnel. Kendall Randolph, 300-pound tight end, kind of like a tackle, and Cameron Latu, a guy that can be physical but also hurt you through the air.
Again with the ground game, and a huge hole for Williams. Stiff arm, pylon, out inside the 1. A 43-yard run by Roydell Williams. Williams elbow down just right at the 1-yard line. Good spot by the side judge. And when the second quarter begins, Alabama will be on the doorstep once again. Roydell Williams getting the Shakers going. Alabama up 21-0. Welcome back to SEC Saturday Night, presented by T-Mobile. Bryce Young has 2 touchdown passes on the game. Looking at a 1st and goal now. It's Roydell Williams in the backfield. And Williams plunges into the line, but will be stopped short. That'll set up 2nd and goal, no gain. Cole, what's it like as an offensive lineman in goal line situations?
Man, it's just getting low. I used to try to get down in a 4-point stance and just bear claw. You're just trying to get a little bit of movement, try to get your pad level, maybe get your helmet, your hat placement underneath those defensive linemen in front of you.
Try it again. And this time he's in. Roydell Williams with the touchdown plunge. This is first for the sophomore from Hueytown.
Second play in a row, Southern Miss, and Taj Sykes up there, the nose guard, had really good penetration, but just a good job by Roydell Williams of reading the hole, diving, put your head down and getting in.
4-play, 60-yard drive, needed only 65 seconds. Reichard splits the uprights.
The play that set it up. I mentioned Alabama getting in that heavy 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, Kendall Randolph and Cameron Latu right here. Watch this double team and watch Latu come off and really have the block that allowed Roydell Williams to hit the sideline. That's a great job of engaging, driving the defender all the way to the sideline. Roydell Williams did the rest and then punched it in to pay it off.
Pylon cam no worse for wear, and Williams able to clean it up after getting him down there.
See Randolph with some movement down there by the goal line again. Back to something that Jordan was saying earlier, that they're different tight end, they're bigger tight end. He's not a tight end, guys.
No.
I mean, that dude's a tackle. And Bill O'Brien told us he would be their next right tackle in the game, but the value to be able to have someone that has the understanding, the technical wherewithal to be able to block the way that he does, especially in the run game, not a lot of teams can offer that.
Kendall Randolph, 6'4", 298. He does have a tight end's number.
Well, yeah, there's a 12 personnel that's really an extra lineman for Alabama. And there's a 12 personnel that is really an extra receiver when 19 comes in the game for Alabama.
And there's also 13 personnel.
Yes.
Bill O'Brien's got an embarrassment of riches to work with as an offensive coordinator. And some versatile tight ends. Ty Keys so far in this game, the freshman, 3 of 7 for 39 yards. Small town kid from Taylorsville, Mississippi. Taylorsville, by the way, northwest of Soso, and it's just north of Hot Coffee, Mississippi.
Hot coffee, huh?
Yeah,
You're
more of an ice
coffee
guy.
Yeah, I'm a cold coffee guy, but yeah, I dabble every now and then when the weather starts to get colder.
Instead of getting on a plane, we could drive over to Taylorsville maybe tomorrow if you got free time.
You know, Southern Miss and Will Hall, they're really recreating their identity on offense, and they had to do that last week with Ty Keys in his first start.
Here's Keys on the run.
Tooling the scheme, the play calling to his skill set. I expect to see a little bit more design quarterback runs. And again, their best receiver on the outside, Jason Brownlee, just 1 target tonight, 0 catches. Got to find a way to get some of their playmakers the ball in space.
Brownlee, a couple 100-yard games in his career, 3 of them as a matter of fact. Pete Golding, defensive coordinator for Alabama, said, I know this staff well, and I know what Will Hall wants to do. I just don't think they're at a place to be what he wants to be right now. This is Frank Gorgan. And part of that, he said, Cole, he's a great coach. If they can't outblock you, they can run to space and maybe run some option stuff going forward with 2 and 3 backs and the quarterback as a runner. But Golding just didn't think that they would see that in this game because Keys has so little experience. Southern Miss 1 of 4 on 3rd downs tonight. Pressure coming. Keys is going to get taken down. He throws it off balance, and it finds the Southern Miss sideline. Will Anderson got to him. And there's an injured Golden Eagle. Ty Keys still on the field.
Boygby up the middle, Anderson on the outside. Southern Miss gave up 9 sacks last week, so protection up front has been an issue, and it's always going to be an issue against this group.
Cole, what do you got on Will Anderson?
Well, one thing that makes him very difficult to block guys is 34-inch arms. I'm just going to do a little demo here for you. I got about 32.5, 33-inch arms. As an offensive tackle, you have to get your hand on a pass rusher. So this is 34 inches right here. So if I'm trying to get my hands on Will Anderson, that's the extension that he has to be able to keep me off of him as he's rushing the passer. Just to put in perspective, Khalil Mack, 33.5-inch arms. Will Anderson, 34 at 6'4", 255 pounds.
Can we get the utility? Can we get the utility to keep poking Cole with the stick?
Please.
That's the ultimate. Now hit him with it. 28-0 Alabama. Good work, fellas. All right, thanks. Hendon Hooker, pretty good start. 7 for 11, a couple touchdowns starting for Tennessee. Bryce Young wanting to go deep. And he's got him! Jamison Williams eating up the yardage again. 81-yard reception. Nick Saban wanted more action and more efficiency on the play action. He got it. Jamison Williams out of St. Louis by way of Ohio State. He's touched the ball twice tonight. He has 181 all-purpose yards. Reichard makes it 35-0.
It's just the speed. I mean, you cannot coach speed. Safety's a little lower than they probably would have wanted to be. And once you're even as a quarterback, you see Jamison Williams or any of your receivers even, that means he is leaving. Bryce Young, great read. Great throw.
A couple weeks ago, we were in town for the Mercer game, and we asked Bryce Young who he emulates at the next level. And without having any idea who he was talking to, he said, Aaron Rodgers, I love the way he plays the game. Do you see Aaron Rodgers and Bryce Young?
100%. There's a lot of similarities in their mechanics, especially their lower body mechanics, the way they flip the ball. Both their feet come off the ground a lot of the times as they're ripping their lower body through the throw to create velocity and accuracy. I kind of expected that was what he was going to say because I've watched him on film and 12 on film a whole lot, and there is a ton of similarities.
It's kind of the new era of quarterbacking. You don't see very many Peyton Mannings anymore. You see a whole lot more Aaron Rodgers. Matt Corral fits that description too. And he's 1 and 2 in the Heisman odds right now with Bryce Young.
100%. How quickly the ball needs to come out. How a lot of times passing lanes, you have to fit your arm angle to match where the passing lane is because of tempo and how quickly things change in the new era of offense. Think about it this way. I think 10, 15 years ago, you were recruiting a closing pitcher at quarterback, right? A big, tall, strong-arm guy, threw over the top, 6'5".
You wanted Nolan Ryan.
Yep, now you want a second baseman, a guy that is quick, agile, can flip and throw the ball really accurately from any platform. That's Bryce Young.
Coolest part about that, Jordan, I thought, is when Bill O'Brien told us they actually rep that in practice every day. They work on throwing off balance, throwing while moving around, changing arm angles, things of that nature.
Ty Keys took a hit on that last third down. He's back out there. Pass backwards. This will be a run now for Daquan Bailey Brown, who picks up 3. And just some housekeeping. Bryce Young on that fumble at the goal line got credit for a touchdown pass that Latu recovered. So on the night, Bryce Young 8 of 9, 3 touchdowns.
Jeez. How many games in a row now is that 3 touchdowns? Every game.
Every game. Wow. Good start. That's why he's all smiles. 2nd and 7. Tough sledding for Frank Gore Jr., freshman from Miami in his 2nd year in the program. You know, his dad, Frank Gore Sr., 5-time Pro Bowler, was playing in the NFL as recently as last year, and now his pops is getting ready, he says, for a boxing career.
His pops put the gloves on, and Gore Jr., he don't need no gloves out there. That's old school, man. No gloves. Love it.
Oh, this is bare knuckle.
Yeah. We asked him if he ever got in the ring with his dad. He's like, nah.
No, not something I'm interested in.
I wouldn't be either.
Pressure. They got it to the screen, and this is Bailey Brown, but he gets back just to the line of scrimmage. But Darian Mathis stayed with it, came up with a stop, and that'll bring on the punting unit for Southern Miss.
Bailey Brown, another one of those guys that they can build upon on the outside. I remember watching, I was down on the field earlier, and I was like, man, number 2 has got some juice. So another one of those guys that they can get the ball in space, get Ty Keys some easy throws. Look, it's going to be tough to get anything going against Alabama. But really, as Will Hall mentioned, we're planning for 2 weeks from now, right? Conference. We're trying to get ready tonight for conference play in Rice.
Alabama nearly got it. May have gotten a piece of that one from Mason Hunt. Tide already has a block punt return for a touchdown this season. 44-yard punt. 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter. Alabama's up 35-0. SEC Storied More Than a Voice premieres tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. We'll be talking about all the great voices of SEC football over the years, including Eli Gold, Chris Stewart, our good friend, with them, and John Parker Wilson over on the other side. Larry Munson, Jim Fife, Jim Hawthorne. There's a look at Eli in his 34th season. His spotting boards look just like yours, Jay.
Yeah, he's got his board's a little bigger. That's like made out of wood too. He's got that. I just keep the paper.
That's real.
I like how you can see it all at the same time. That's nice. Maybe I should do that.
He's had plenty of opportunities to get excited tonight with Alabama up 35-0. First score came on a Jamison Williams return. Here's how it sounded coming out of Eli Gold's mouth.
Here's the kick, and we're underway. Jamison Williams from a yard deep to the 10. 15-20, cuts left, up the middle. He's got running room, spun around, breaks the tackle. He's on his way. He's going to bring it back 101 yards. Touchdown, Alabama.
Was he laughing? Eli was laughing at the end of that call. Thanks to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to be a great show tomorrow night. Young pressured, dumps it off incomplete. Cole, you listened to a pretty good one in the Auburn radio network with Jim Fife. He'll be featured tomorrow night.
Oh, man, you think about touchdown Auburn, and then obviously Rod Bramblett was able to keep that going. Andy Burcham still doing it today. But hearing all those voices.
Intentional grounding on the offense, number 9. That penalty is a loss of down and spotted the foul. 3rd down.
Hearing all those names, Tom, you think about how much college football those gentlemen painted for us in our minds growing up. I mean, that's what it was. We knew those guys as the voices of our team, still do today for many of them, and been very impactful over the years.
I'm looking forward to the Munson part. We stepped on their face with a hobnail boot.
The best.
3rd and 14. after intentional grounding called against Bryce Young. They'll send Williams out of the backfield, set up a screen to Mechie. Boy, that's tough. That's a tough play for Emil Ekiyor, Cole, to get out there on a screen that they're trying to set up.
Especially when Bryce Young can turn and get his feet in the ground and get that ball out as quick as he does. I mean, you're not going to beat that football out there. However, receiver has to know that the offensive line's coming out, probably going to take a 305-pounder a little bit longer to get to the perimeter. So come flat before you try to get north and south.
You still, as a quarterback, want to get rid of it immediately?
Absolutely.
And it's up to the wide receiver to get by the time.
Quick screen right there. Yeah, the timing is what the timing is. That ball's going to come out of your hand.
James Burnup to punt for the first time. He's got a rocket for a leg. The Aussie can do magic with this thing. And it's scooped up on the run. Daquan Bailey Brown past midfield. Not much hang time that time from Burnap. 38-yard punt return for Bailey Brown. It's a Tide Radio Network. Good job by those professionals across the way. Hello, fellas. Let's take a look at Fansville, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Parents Weekend here in Tuscaloosa. Got all afternoon to get ready for this game tonight.
I haven't had good ribs in a long time, man.
All right, that's something we can work on.
Yeah, I need to get some good ribs.
There's a tailgate out there watching right now. You want to deliver them to the booth, we'll eat them. First and 10. The freshman Keys going to find some daylight. Not much to find. We got a flag after the play. Malachi Moore in on the stop. One of the things we discussed with Pete Golding was getting everybody in the right position pre-snap. And he talked about how bright Henry To'o is.
On the offense, number 60, 10-yard penalty with a replay first down.
And Cole, he was telling us that sometimes To'o over helps. He wants them to get the call in, get the D-line set, and then let them deal with their own responsibilities and do his own job.
I think the foundation of what Pete Golding was saying, I would rather have a defense called and then you execute it versus whatever they run, whatever formation they're in, then you attempt to be getting into a different defense while the football is snapped. We hear a lot of defensive coaches say 11 sets of cleats in the ground. Essentially what Pete Golding is saying there, I know you want to be right with everything, every alignment, and what everybody's doing, but sometimes just get me in whatever defense we call and let's ride it out.
Keys finds the open tight end. It's Gunner again. Somehow got loose for 26. Third catch, third down.
What a great play action there. Just, again, stealing the eyes of the linebacker. Henry To'o and Christian Harris there bit up on the run. Tight end right behind him.
Matched up with Malachi Moore now. They'll hand him off. Fresh set of downs. Keys keeps it. Christian Harris got a fistful of fabric and brings him down. No gain.
Yeah, watch right here. Henry To'o come up to play the run. I thought we were going to that last play. Great play there by Christian Harris. Thought we were going to the play action behind that because, you know, tight end position last week for Florida was an area of concern as well. Florida hadn't used the tight ends a ton, and they got Kamari Gamble and Keon Zipper both had big days.
I thought you were still thinking about ribs. I was giving you a pass. Moore shows pressure off the edge, and Will Anderson first one there. Loss of 3.
Boy, there's two schools of thought when you have a team that wants to run zone read with the quarterback, right? You either sit back, try to play both,
Or attack.
or crash the mesh. And that time, Will Anderson just said, I don't care what you're doing, I'm going to come hit somebody in the face. I always hated that. Don't do that, come on.
You're the one getting hit in the face.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Southern Miss has converted just 1 3rd down tonight. Keys has a crossing route. This is Jason Brownlee, who gets a block, and he gets ridden down at about the 11, a gain of 20. And they finally targeted their best receiver.
Yeah, and this is a one read, one throw. This is the only place the ball was going. Everybody on the right side of your screen there, on the right side of the formation, is running their defenders off and then blocking for Brownlee coming from the left side to the right. It's kind of like a way to get a screen, but on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
And not a very clean game on the right side of that offensive line. Will Anderson slants in, and you saw Justin Abigby not really get back around to take up that passing lane.
Bama trying to preserve the shutout here in the first half. Keys swings it out. Missed tackle, Chandler Pittman to the pylon. And they'll say he's out at the 1. Stepped out before he made the dive, apparently.
DeMarco Hellams came up to try to make this tackle. Pittman got out of it. And let's see.
Ooh, I got a touchdown.
I think so.
Any part of his body come down out of bounds before the pylon's hit? Perhaps the left elbow?
Did the ball move? Did he lose control of the ball before he hits the pylon? That angle, it didn't look like it, but the other angle looked like that ball was moving a little bit. You can tell, you can tell that he was trying to grab the ball to reach out before he was getting hit. And if that ball moved and he lost control, that'd be a touchback. If he has control, it'd be a touchdown.
Replay booth is going to get involved. That's such a right here. Yeah, it's loose before it hits the pylon.
It looked like it was loose, right?
Yep.
I mean, just barely. And now will be, do you have enough evidence to say absolutely that ball was moving? That angle, no help. The behind angle, no help. It's that sideline view right here where you can see that ball. Watch the nose of the ball. Right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. The nose of the ball is coming out.
Surged forward, otherwise it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Well, this is what you were talking about earlier on the Latu recovery in the end zone. That's why you, unless it's an end-of-game situation, why you don't extend for the pylon with the danger of a touchback.
And you can see right before Malachi Moore goes to hit him, he's thinking right there. He's thinking about trying to reach the ball out and probably loses control just a little.
Video review, there's evidence to show that it is a touchdown.
Ooh.
The airborne runner hit the pylon.
I don't agree with that.
On his possession.
I don't either, but I tell you what, sometimes when a replay review booth or collaborative replay, I think they can get focused on one element of the play, and it wasn't called a touchdown originally. So if their focus is pylon or not, was he out of bounds? Even with all the help they get and collaborative replay with help from Birmingham, sometimes you can miss the kind of stuff that you were able to see.
Just think when you look at this from the side, the tip of the ball hitting the pylon right here, to me, that is losing control of the football, not what the refs saw, and so Southern Miss on the board.
And that kickoff was misplayed by Jamison Williams. Now he's taken down inside the 5 at about the 2. Nice design by Southern Miss, just trying to sneak one past Bama. Hey, thanks to Wheels Up, helping make travel easier. Jordan was at SEC Nation in Columbia, South Carolina this morning. Here in Tuscaloosa tonight. Surprised a couple guys on the elevator and said, wait, weren't you in South Carolina this morning? Yeah, indeed.
Wearing the same thing. Did put some deodorant on, though, so
I appreciate that.
4 venti coffees later, and we're good to go, baby.
More than you know. Worst field position of the night for Alabama. Bryce Young has Jace McClellan behind him. And McClellan has a huge hole over the left side. First down run, gain of 12.
Javion Curry again at left guard. Really just been nice in the run game for Alabama this year, especially here singled up. Just working a one-on-one in the zone scheme, able to get legitimate movement. Opens up a nice run lane.
Nice big run. Watch out for play action here.
Southern Miss was negative in the rush yard category last week, so at least they got that going for them. But Alabama getting its run game going. Pressure coming from the safety from a long ways away. McClellan lowers his shoulder and is able to make it to the 20.
So a lot of what Alabama does, and this is kind of pro style, this is something Bill O'Brien in the NFL is very familiar with. They'll call 2 plays. And so Bryce Young there, if he sees 2 safeties, which he just saw before that play, before the one rolled down, he's going to check to the run. If it's a 1 safety look and they're rolling the safety down, he's going to leave the pass on. So they start with a pass play action. 2 high safeties, great. Light box, let's run it, which is what Bryce Young saw, but they rolled that safety late down in to add for the run.
Injured Southern Miss player is Eric Scott Jr. out of Basehor, Kansas. A great conversation with Bill O'Brien yesterday about the playbook that he inherited and the challenge as a coordinator to change all of his language and to change the verbiage into what Alabama already does. And he said, I got to be honest with you guys, it was really hard for me because I'm running plays that I've called my whole life that now go by a different label. And so I had to turn to Mac Jones helped me when I first got here. Bryce Young has helped me. Other guys on the staff, Alex Mortensen, one of them, who've been able to share the information when they get me up to speed, but really I got to do most of that work myself.
And that is a lot harder than it sounds, right? I mean, you have one way of calling formations and concepts.
Young, play action over the middle. There's Billingsley again, and he sheds a man, stays on his feet, takes it to the 47. It's a pickup of 33.
A similar play to an explosive one that Billingsley caught earlier. Look, Mechie on the left side, right side of your screen is going to run both those defenders off. The safety in the corner, open that lane up for Jaleel Billingsley. Great read by Bryce Young.
Big night for Billingsley. Roydell Williams hogtied after a pickup of 9. Well, continuing the conversation about the verbiage, we asked Nick Saban why it was so important and when he decided that it was important to keep the consistency from play calling. And it goes back, shocker, to Bill Belichick in New England. And he said what Belichick does and what we've tried to do, and it's not 100%, is to keep the same verbiage on both sides of the ball, which to the unaccustomed may not seem like a big deal, but you've got coaches coming and going. In the NFL, you've got players coming and going. And so you can call it the same thing whether you're in the offensive meeting room or the defensive meeting room. Is that, how uncommon is it?
No, it's extremely common that it is called differently. Every team I was ever on, we would call trips or tray a certain thing, and the defense would call it completely different. Or a run concept that we say is this, defense would say it's something completely different. So it is less common that teams would try to have the exact same verbiage on both sides of the ball.
And you consider, Cole, the turnover in the coaching department, especially with offensive coordinator over the years, it's obvious why the consistency would be important from a player perspective and Nick Saban, a player's coach.
Think about the amount of players. If you did turn over a coach, any coordinator either side of the ball, think about the guys that are close, the guys that are almost there, and maybe they just don't understand the verbiage. They don't understand the scheme. They can't identify things and give it to the guy next to them. We talked about So'oto'o and his value a little bit earlier. All of a sudden, you're close, and then a new coordinator comes in. You have to relearn everything again. Something Cam Latu told us was tough for him going from defense to offense even.
On 2nd and 6, they'll run it again. Roydell Williams, and he stumbled over the 5-yard line. 16-yard run, that close.
Circled John Mechie there, did a great job of identifying and communicating to Bryce Young that a blitz was coming. Checked the run the opposite way. Bryce Young was aware. He said, we're good. Big game.
It's about 6 stretch plays in a row on this drive.
Yeah.
Williams, the outside receiver. Billingsley, the slot. And a big hit in the backfield on Williams. Going back to the verbiage.
Yeah, to put a cherry on top of that, the reason it's so important for Nick Saban to have the same verbiage on both sides of the ball is for game day adjustments. If Nick Saban sees something, he doesn't want to have to explain to the offensive coach what he means.
In the backfield on the offense, that's a 5-yard penalty, and we'll replay first down.
Right, if Saban sees the other offense doing something, he doesn't want to explain to his coaches or to the offense that, hey, oh yeah, it's when they do 3 technique here and it's a 5 technique. No, he wants to say one word, less communicating, less explaining on game day. quicker way to make adjustments.
Well, we talked to him. He said, listen, when I go from the defensive room down to the offensive room, I can't have it both ways. I got to know what I'm talking about. And I need everybody else to know what I'm talking about. So, I mean, everything that Coach Saban does revolves around consistency, doing the same thing, the same way, the right way, following the process. Now, that's just another example of why this program is able to continue to be successful year after year.
The first thing Bill O'Brien told us in our meetings this week, he said, guys, this has been humbling. Here's a guy who was not only his own Division I head coach at Penn State, NFL head coach, NFL general manager. He said, but it's been such an incredible experience for me to get this opportunity here at Alabama.
And he's had a tough job, like you said, of learning verbiage, but also figuring out where he can kind of sprinkle in some of, his touches, some of the RPO stuff that he learned with Deshaun Watson, that Deshaun ran at Clemson and then brought to the Texans, and some of the play action stuff, the 94-yard touchdown by Jamison Williams was kind of a wrinkle that Bill O'Brien brought into the offense. So figuring out what he can add to help this offense take the next step.
I thought it was pretty cool how he said Mac Jones was critical in him being able to help learn this offense as well, coming by during his NFL draft training.
First and goal, and just outside the 10. Young pressured, and it gets wrestled to the ground by Josh Carr Jr. First sack of the night for Carr. Coaches have challenged Carr. You want to be elite or not? You can't let the quarterback slip by. That time he didn't.
And watch Carr off the edge here. Just continuing to work, right? Little swim move on the left guard, Javion Cohen, and then continuing to work. And this is kind of the double-edged sword, right? Bryce Young is so good at navigating the pocket and throwing under pressure, but every now and then that's going to happen when you do hold on to the ball.
Second and goal, now from the 17.
Watch out for Mechie here at the bottom of your screen.
Looking towards Mechie. And look who it is again. It's the tight end, Jaleel Billingsley. And that'll set up third and goal from about the 9.
A lot of folks often wonder why Jaleel Billingsley is so valuable. We asked Austin Armstrong, the Southern Miss defensive coordinator, before the game, what's your answer for 19? He said, well, we have 2 packages. We have a 12 and a 12 light. Speaking of his personnel, 12 light obviously being Billingsley, because he doesn't technically count as a tight end because he can flank out as a wide receiver, and he's a very difficult matchup.
Watch for some crossing routes here. They like to get in these tight bunch formations, cross some guys, see if they can get somebody open with a little rub route.
Young steps up, throws on the run. Nice move by McClellan. Touchdown, Alabama. On the 10th play of a drive that once it got in the red zone went backwards before it went forwards.
Just a really good job by Bryce Young. It was great coverage on the back end by Southern Miss. Like I said, that bunch set, everybody crossed at the release. Southern Miss did a good job of passing things off, but what a great job by Bryce Young of knowing where your outlet is, where your check down is, getting him the ball, letting your playmakers make a play.
That was a 10-play, 97-yard drive of Bryce Young, 12 of 13, 226 yards and 4 touchdowns tonight.
Continues to operate extremely well when things break down and he is under pressure trying to find something. Bam, where's my outlet? Right to McClellan. Again, love the fact how he keeps his eyes downfield. Always looking for something, even stepping up in the pocket and then bam, knowing exactly where his outlet is. We used to call that route the Pro Bowl route. Why? When I had NFL coaches, they said, well, you get to your 4th read consistently, you're going to be in the Pro Bowl. Right? I mean, if you can work through things in the NFL and even at this level and dump it off, that is how you're going to increase your completion percentage, increase positive plays, and that's just when the offense can take off, when you always have an answer.
He spent some time with Bryce Young. It's easy to see why he would be such a smart and thoughtful football player, because he's a smart and thoughtful individual. Cole, you talked to him about dealing with the expectations when it comes to this incredible Alabama fan base.
His demeanor is so impressive when you speak to him. He doesn't allow any of those outside distractions to get to him. You talked to him about certain things that fans want to see out of his game, like why don't you run the football more? He said, hey, they're entitled to their opinion. They watch the game. They can say what they think. That's cool, but there's 2 people inside this building that I listen to, maybe 3. They're all 3 employed by the university, and they can tell me what to do on any given play.
More football action in 10 seconds. (42-7), Alabama with a comfortable advantage here towards the final seconds of the first half. Cameron Harrell is helped off the field by the Southern Miss athletic training staff. Ty Keys 8 of 13 for 101 yards in this game. This is a Southern Miss staff that told us, Will Hall said, we view this as a game in between 2 other games and 2 weeks of practice to get us ready for our Conference USA opener. And Ty Keys with a baptism by fire for a freshman quarterback. We're at the half, and you can watch a live performance from Alabama's $1 Million Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN app. A comfortable first half for Alabama. It got started with a 100-yard kickoff return for Jamison Williams. We'll get Nick Saban's thoughts. He's with Cole right now.
Coach Saban, you said this week play action was something you wanted to see your team get involved a little bit more. Felt like you had good success within the first half.
Yeah, we did. We made a lot of explosive plays, play action. Bryce did a good job of throwing it. Guys got open. 19's been open a couple times. One made a big play on a play action pass, so we're happy with that.
Feels like the defense has been successful attacking the mesh in zone read. How and why do you decide to take that course when playing a team that does it a lot?
Well, you know, we want to force. They run a lot of counter OT, so when we force, you know, we get an extra guy because they're not blocking that guy. So, you know, the quarterback ends up keeping the ball, but we got a guy on him too. So just got to get off the field on 3rd down on defense. 3rd and 13, we let them complete that like screen pass. So anyway, got to play better in the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
I think.
They held him to 2 of 7 on 3rd down. He is a perfectionist, and the results speak for themselves. Bryce Young nearly perfect. 12 of 13, 4 touchdowns in the first half. You know who's perfect? Dari. It's all yours. SEC Saturday night presented by T-Mobile. Bryant-Denny Stadium, Alabama up 42-7 on Southern Miss. We welcome you back. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Coach Kublik down on the field. You know, we started the broadcast tonight talking about Alabama's vulnerability after the Florida game last week. What have we seen today? Clemson lost. Texas A&M lost. Oklahoma is losing. If I'm an Alabama fan, I'd take this vulnerability all day long.
Absolutely. It was a lack of explosive plays last week. 0 offensive plays of 30-plus yards. And tonight, already 3, it was the play-action pass, right? They're running the football better. Bryce Young and these athletes they have on the outside are just running by Southern Miss defenders. And Jaleel Billingsley has had a big role, and he hasn't really had a role the first 3 games. I think he's out of the doghouse.
Yeah, and found the end zone. Let's take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Zaxby's. Bryce Young and play action tonight, a focus for Nick Saban.
Absolutely. I mean, this is how they were explosive in 2020. This is how Nick Saban wants to be explosive and wants to push the ball downfield. And I tell you what, coming into this game, averaging 6.6 yards per attempt, they're doing a little better than that, all right?
Yeah, he does not seem bothered. I'm just trying to find a perfect roll of tape. Maybe some chapstick. That's about it. No return. Cole, what'd you learn from Southern Miss head coach Will Hall?
He talked to me about a couple different things, Tom, and he said, first, offensively, Ty Keys has to be better reading the mesh. Felt like they missed a couple opportunities with him to keep it or give it. And he said, Cole, defensively, tackling, man, we just have to be better getting ball scared to the ground. He said, I get it. I know they're really good. My guys have got to get them to the ground. He said, we think we can be a little bit more competitive if they can make that happen.
Kind of like Shane Beamer's response when he was asked about Georgia's defensive line. Like,
They got 5 stars everywhere.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, we know. It's tall task.
Keys, the freshman, incomplete.
I'm going to tell you guys, we've talked about this Alabama defensive line and some of the depth and some of the different players, but Phil Mathis is someone, to me, who continues to grow each and every week in this Alabama defense. And when we talked to Pete Golding about all that depth and all the guys, he said, listen, 48 is 48. He's going to do what we need him to do, how we need him to do it, when we ask him to do it. He is one of the most reliable defensive linemen on this football team, and he continues to flash those kind of plays, getting pressure more and more often.
Also flashing the dance moves, the loose hips. Gore taken down by Will Anderson Jr. This Alabama defense has been like devious licks tonight. They are just tearing everything off the wall and taking it home with them.
A lot of movement. You saw Will Anderson there working from the outside, back inside. Phil Mathis, as Cole just mentioned, he's been real disruptive in the A-gaps tonight. This defensive line is starting to catch their stride, starting to play a lot better.
Another big one, Jordan, is that 18's actually on the field with Brian Ray giving Alabama meaningful reps the last 2 weeks.
Right over the center. That's Coker Wright who's playing center now.
False start on the offense, number 65. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains third
Terquan
down.
Scott, freshman from Mobile. Tough enough sledding for Southern Miss going against Alabama, but doing without their senior starter at center, Arvin Fletcher, unavailable tonight. 3rd down, 17. Pressure coming. Keys launches that one. You remember?
Number 1 is in the area, 4th down.
I don't know. I don't really know what that was.
That was weird.
I mean, we've heard quarterbacks in the NFL, Mike, say, I was seeing ghosts out there. Maybe he was seeing ghosts.
Oh, you know what it was? I think he thought there might have been a penalty there. I think he thought someone jumped early there. Maybe just trying to get it out of bounds. I don't know.
JoJo Earl set to return. Alabama will have great field position. Earl had a punt return for a score waved off due to a holding penalty. From about the 43, multiple flags now. This one's certainly coming back. Earl with another positive return. Tyree Jackson got a block in the back, it seems. 27-yard return that will be negated.
During the return, illegal block in the back on the receiving team, number 6. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and it will be 1st down.
You can see right there in the middle of your screen. Little block in the back. Tell you what, JoJo Earl, he's dangerous back there.
Bryce Young's dangerous in the play-action game.
Absolutely. Anytime that running game is a threat, look at the way he navigates the pocket, keeps his eyes downfield. And I tell you what, Jaleel Billingsley has been underneath, but when they've been able to get over the top, it's been Jamison Williams. The speed, he's been a game changer since he stepped on campus from Ohio State.
Bryce Young has 14 passing touchdowns this season, the most through a player's first 4 career starts in Alabama football history. Touch pass. Here's Mechie. Found some room and gets tripped up after a pickup of 7. Jay Stanley to stop.
Doesn't that just tell you everything you need to know about how we perceive Alabama? We're talking about, are they vulnerable?
Yeah.
I mean, he's setting records for throwing touchdown passes through the first 4 games. They put 31 points on Florida in the swamp, and now we're like, oh, I don't know. Got to worry about this. Only 31 points. It didn't look that good.
30 points in 30 consecutive games, one shy of UCF's record for the longest streak in major college football history.
They've just set the bar so high that anytime they're a little bit below that, everybody notices.
Well, the running game certainly on par tonight, even if it was behind the expectations last week. Cole?
Well, Tom and Jordan, you guys mentioned the expectations sometimes of the media and the fans, maybe a little bit unfair, but it doesn't get too far outside of that facility. Nick Saban actually told us when we met with him on Friday, he said, listen, I felt like we lost the game when we got on the bus. I had to go tell the guys, hey, we just won the game. We just won at the Swamp. I felt like my players were walking around like they lost that football game.
Well, it was really interesting how Pete Golding also put that in perspective. Here's McClellan again. McClellan finds the sideline, and he's forced out of bounds. 26-yard run and a flag on the end of that play. Golding said we won the game, but we didn't feel like we beat them. We didn't empty the stadium. That's the goal. When you're playing on the road, empty the stadium before the game is over.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle on the defense, number 9. That penalty will be half the distance to the goal from the end of the run, and it carries an automatic down.
Malik Short's flag.
Out of this heavy 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. Great block by Cameron Latu to allow McClellan to get downfield, and got up around the neck there. I don't know about that though.
Yeah, started on the front.
Yeah.
I felt like would have been clean if he would have just kept it on the front. End zone shot. Touchdown, Cameron Latu. Second of the night. Play action has been near perfection for Alabama tonight.
Play action is right. And down here in the red zone, when you're doing play action, all you really need is to get those linebackers to hesitate, right? Just for a second so you can get behind them, exactly what Alabama was able to do.
Cameron Latu's second receiving touchdown on his first reception. How's that for a brain teaser? And how's this for quarterback play?
Again, the play action is just going to affect the outside linebacker, Santrell Latham, just for a second. And watch Cameron Latu get upfield. Again, just a second. All you need is one step, and when you got a big tight end, you can put that ball up. And he's going to win that matchup almost every single time.
(49-7) Alabama with the lead. Cameron Latu recovered a fumble at the 1-yard line after a long pass play in the first half. That was a touchdown reception. And so now he has 2 touchdown receptions on 1 catch, if that makes much sense to you.
It doesn't, but I'll believe it.
Let's take a look at our Hometown Connection, brought to you by T-Mobile, where each week we highlight a team's connection to towns across the SEC. 2021 marks the 50th year that Alabama football broke the color barrier. John Mitchell and Wilbur Jackson, the first black players to play for the Tide in 1971. Jackson, the first African-American to sign a football scholarship with Alabama. Consensus All-American 1973 All-Conference halfback. 1974 9th overall pick by the 49ers. Played 8 NFL seasons and won a Super Bowl with Washington, Super Bowl 17. Now retired down in his hometown of Ozark, Alabama. And city officials dedicated a downtown mural in his honor. Back to action, Ty Keys with a tight roping attempt to Grayson Gunter. He was out of bounds.
Gunter is really impressed. They've definitely dialed up some plays to try to force him the ball. Big body tight end on the outside. And as we mentioned, this offense is really recreating their identity with Ty Keys at the helm. He's got a lot of potential, a lot of athleticism. He's got a strong arm. But right now it's about simplifying the playbook and then now figuring out what he can do best and also what they will need to do once conference hits. And they play Rice very shortly.
Yep, they'll be a week away. Keys takes it for an 8-yard gain. It's easy to see the future for Southern Miss can be built on the back of transfers, with the transfer portal being so prevalent now in college football. You're in a state that's got multiple Division I schools. You already got 1 Ole Miss transfer, Gunter, a transfer from Arkansas. If you get guys out of the SEC that come down to Southern Miss for playing time for whatever reason, you could build a superpower in CUSA.
Yeah, those are program changers, right? You get those kind of transfers. Those aren't people you can recruits you can recruit out of high school. You don't get the 4 stars, but hey, a 4-star goes to a big time program, doesn't see playing time. Now you can get those guys.
Gunner attached on the left side. This is 3rd and 2. Play clock at 1, and Will Hall didn't want to wait for it. Use the timeout.
Southern Miss. This is their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Will Hall, in his first year as a head coach here, was at Tulane for a couple of years. Was at West Alabama, took him to the Division II playoffs. And Will Hall could play a little bit back in his day, huh?
Who I tell you, Harlan Hill Trophy winner, obviously, as the best player in Division II, and he was a guy that I was doing radio in Huntsville, Alabama, when he was playing at UNA, and I would always check the in-state box scores, and every week I would check it. Monday, I wanted to kind of go over and just relay what some of the kids had done, and you'd see Will Hall, 400, 380 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns rushing. He put up monster stats for the Lions each and every week. He's a heck of a football player.
Offensive coordinator with the Raging Cajuns in 2017. Before going on to Tulane, and now first FBS head coaching job. 3rd and 2. Gore blown up. It's kept by Keys, and he picks up just 1. Wow, what did Nick Saban say about attacking the mesh?
That is a force, as he called it, if I've ever seen it. And that's what they want to do, right? They want to send that defensive end right at the quarterback, hit whoever you can, because they already have somebody if the quarterback keeps it. So go attack that running back. That's what you call scraping, right? You attack the mesh, and then the linebacker scrapes over the top to account for the quarterback.
I mean, there's attacking the mesh, and then there's like a Tomahawk cruise missile to the mesh.
That was the latter.
That's like Jadeveon Clowney to the mesh. Beautiful punt from Mason Hunt, and that'll take a Golden Eagles bounce and trickle inside the 10. And it'll roll down to the 6. A 60-yarder for Mason Hunt from the school that gave us Ray Guy. Alabama looking good tonight, 49-7. Cameron Latu has been targeted once. He has 2 receiving touchdowns. It's a mind bender there, but here's a look at his 2 touchdowns. Cole, as we look at what Cameron Latu's been able to accomplish tonight, I guess the only question is, has his mom seen him?
Great question, and great news is that his mom, Jill Fine, has been able to see the 2 touchdowns tonight, but interestingly enough, did not see those 2 touchdowns against Miami. In particular, the first touchdown against Miami, because her other son, Nathan, who plays linebacker at Oklahoma State, she was actually there to greet him for his walk into the stadium for his first game of the season. So she missed Cameron's first touchdown against Miami, but is watching tonight.
All right, that's great news. Can you imagine the physical activity in the Latu household with those 2 guys? Oklahoma State, by the way, with an 11-point lead on Kansas State tonight. Here's the Latu brothers playing rugby. Cole, what happened here?
Well, one was concussed and one was not.
Cameron and Nathan.
Oh, friendly fire.
Nathan was actually the better rugby player. And Cameron told us he didn't want to play. He never wanted to play, but then his mother, Jill, told me that every time he'd get going, he wanted to start playing, that Cameron would be like, okay, fine, I'll get out there and I'll go play. He ended up being ranked the 11th best 8-man rugby player in the nation by Flow Rugby.
Oh, well, you got a Flow Rugby subscription. That's good.
Ran out, but
good luck writing that one up. There's Cameron Latu on cue, the product of Salt Lake City.
And this is a different kind of play action that we haven't really seen from Alabama. This is a little boot. You fake zone one way, get Bryce Young on the run. Great throw. Just an over route backside from the tight end. We saw a lot of times tonight Cameron Latu climbing up to block those linebackers. Now he climbs up, gets across their face, and wide open for a big play.
Gets the safety blitz. Here's Mechie.
You know, Tom, the best part about that, when we were here for the Mercer game, you and I were talking to Cam Latu, and we asked him, what does being a highly linked rugby player get you? And he kind of looked at us and said, I don't know, man.
A concussion or 2.
I was like, where do you go with that? He's like, I don't know. His mom did tell me there is professional rugby out in Utah, so would have had the opportunity to go do that had he chose, but feeling like things are working out for him here in Tuscaloosa.
It looked like he fell on the ball at the end of that first down reception, took himself out of the game. Hopefully that was minor. Second down 6. Young on a dime to Billingsley. 23 yards.
That's a really good job here by Bryce Young, because Billingsley's actually the alert on this play. His job is kind of to pull the defense, but that time the defense stayed out wide. for the pump and go that they wanted to hit. So Bryce Young just pulled the trigger and hit Billingsley right in stride.
Billingsley over 100 yards. McClellan gets stretched out and thrown down for a loss of 1.
Boy, nice, clean, fresh air outside the doghouse, huh?
Oh, yeah. Nick Saban talked about what he expected from Jaleel Billingsley. He said it's about learning how to practice and putting forth that effort. It was interesting. We're talking to Nick Saban about individual performances, right? He is ultra competitive in all aspects. They leave the College Football Awards show in Atlanta when one of his guys doesn't win one. He is peeved. He said, but we don't pad stats against teams that we're heavily favored against, as Trey Sanders enters in the backfield. He said it's really simple. I tell my guys all the time about how I scouted players when I was in the NFL. When I was in the NFL and I got your cut up, I didn't know if you were playing Southern Miss or Southern Cal. I didn't know if it was 98 degrees or 38 degrees. I did not know if you were playing an All-American or the guy across from you was no good at all. I judge players on their film. Why wouldn't you put your best film out there at all times? And that goes for practice too.
Yeah, and that goes for Jaleel Billingsley. I think that's Saban kept saying, look, you got to do all the little things. You got to practice up to the standard that Alabama has here, and he's started to do those things, turn the corner, and get more playing time, more opportunities tonight.
3rd and 8. Young completes that one to Slade Bolden, who is brought down just inches short. But speaking of practice, we asked Nick Saban how different his practice plan was in his mentor, Don James, when he was at Kent State back in the early 70s. He says, yeah, there's one difference. He had 5-minute periods. I have 10-minute periods. But basically, the same structure is in place. It was in place from Coach James back in the early 70s.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, the key is consistency, right? 4th and 1 now. Boydell Williams in his I formation. Williams has the first down and a little bit more. Cole, we talked to him about that. I guess it's not surprising that he would have those standards year after year and they don't change.
No, and not surprising that he actually took that model and found a way to make it a little bit more efficient. And this will hit home for Jordan as well. He talked about those practice periods and how instead of going 3 5-minute periods of individual, he'll have a 15-minute pod of individual. He said, so I've moved on to a pod system more so than periods sometimes, because why do I need to do 3 periods of individual when I can do 1 15-minute pod of individual? Just basically a way for people to do less work, less things to keep track of. You only have 1 clock, you only have 1 horn for your individual period instead of doing 3. And I'm like, man, it makes perfect sense. Why are other people not doing this?
The only time it changed was when he went to the NFL. And he said, I learned that NFL guys had expectations. Tuesday, you do one thing. Wednesday, you're going to work on 2-minute and 2-point conversions. Thursday, you're going to insert red zone and goal line situations. So the NFL guys have expectations, and we're going to show you the plays we're going to do before practice starts. Open, beautiful hands on the catch by Latu. And Cameron Latu at 6'5" had to go to the knees to get that one.
That's a great catch, because this ball is actually a little more inside than Bryce Young probably wants. There's a single high safety, as you can see right there, that is closing in. Malik Shorts, a guy that this staff speaks highly of, but a great job of Latu snagging that, protecting himself and holding on, even though that one's coming back.
They had a holding call on Chris Owens, the right tackle. And it leaves 2nd and 20.
JoJo Earl there in the slot at the top of your screen. He's explosive.
You've always had a thing for JoJo's. And they work it outside this time to Trayshawn Holden, his first catch. By the way, the kickoff return by Jamison Williams and then the 81-yard touchdown. Not in the game right now, but Williams, the first player in Alabama history with an 80-yard touchdown catch and a kickoff return for a touchdown in the same game. Back in at this point. When you start throwing out first time ever in Alabama football, you're doing things right. There he is. and it's intercepted off of Williams' hands. Malik Shorts comes up with it. First interception of the year for Bryce Young. He threw 15 touchdown passes before his first pick.
Boy, and he was smiling because that one was not his fault. Hit Jameson Williams right in the number. Jay Stanley did a great job of breaking that one up, but hey, still goes as an interception for Young.
First interception of Bryce Young's Alabama career.
Again, I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago. You know how in baseball they have errors, right? So a pitcher could be pitching a gem, right? Somebody else makes a mistake, doesn't go against him. That's got to be an error on Jameson Williams. I know I'm a quarterback talking, but come on. Hit him right in the numbers.
Hit him in the wrong spot.
That should not be an interception.
I think maybe Jameson didn't want his average to go down for the night. Keys.
It's like, what, just a 20-yard touchdown? Yeah, I don't want that.
That was a long run for Keys to pick up 8.
I love, though, that he was smiling right away. You know? And that's the attitude of the kid. And that's why you love him as a person and why I think he's going to be a heck of a quarterback. He's not just talented, but he's got the demeanor and the mindset to be successful in big moments. Nothing is too big for him. Nothing he takes too seriously. And I mean that in a good way. It's not that he's not focused. But, man, he is always level-headed, always calm.
Cole mentioned this earlier, but I thought it was refreshing to hear him talk about the feedback that he gets. And he said, yeah, I listened to 2 people, and they're both Alabama employees. Brad Dennis with the reception.
I think his night might be done. Could be a bad last pass to end on, but
that's ends on completion.
Well, yeah, an error.
He threw the ball 22 times tonight. It only hit the ground twice.
It's hard to do against anybody.
They're down 2 for Southern Miss. And nice run by Chandler Pittman. Helmet popped off at the end of it. Pickup of 11. And Tim Smith is slow to get up. Pete Golding really bragged on the upside for these young defensive linemen, Cole.
Especially this one. 50's a guy that he continuously has talked about as someone that he feels like is on his way, is getting close. A guy that has heavy hands, gives you a very good strike off the football, understands what this defense is asking him to do. And, which I know it might be surprising looking at a guy 6'4", 308, described him as having a little bit of wiggle inside the middle of that defense. Somebody basically who can win some one-on-one pass rush situations for you. Pete Golding was relying on Tim Smith to become a very important part of this Alabama depth, and looks like he's going to hop up and hopefully be okay as Jeff Allen and that training staff take care of him.
Cole, you played offensive line. Can you describe to everybody sitting on the couch right now what heavy hands means?
It means when a defensive lineman comes off the ball and he strikes you and he can essentially keep you away from him. Now, you got heavy hands. Like, you get your hands on me, and there's not a lot that I can do. I can't push you. I can't readjust and get my hands inside of you. You can grab me and hold me away from you, and then you are in control of me. So strike and shed is how Alabama defensive linemen two-gap. So they'll hold an offensive lineman out in front of them. You shed one way and play left. You shed the other way and play right.
Ty Keys steps up, lobs it down the sideline, incomplete.
You know, having those heavy hands, you mentioned it, Cole, of be able to control an offensive lineman, teams that run the football really well. That means those guys can't get off on double teams. That means your linebackers, Christian Harris, Henry To'oTo'o, aren't covered up as much, allows them to make more plays. So those heavy hands may not always show up in the stat column, but man, you got a guy like 50, a guy like Phil Mathis, number 48 down there. That's important.
Jalen Moody now in the game at linebacker. Henry To'oTo'o getting a breather here late. Chandler Pittman Freshman from McGee, Mississippi, picks up a couple.
Pittman's another one of those guys. Great athlete. Was a high school quarterback. Got a lot of reps at quarterback this week just in case an emergency situation. But him along with Jason Brownlee, Bailey Brown as well. Those are guys that when they hit conference play, they're guys that stand out from an athleticism standpoint in the Conference USA. Obviously tonight, a little outmatched, but guys are going to make some plays for Southern Miss the rest of this year.
Move Drew Sanders inside. Keys will take off. He's got a first down run and a slide. 12-yard scramble for the freshman QB.
You know, he's had some advantage from an advice of another quarterback that played at his high school that went on to have a great NFL career. That's Jason Campbell, former Auburn quarterback. I talked to Jason today, and he said, yeah, I know Ty. He used to come to my QB camp when he was a little kid. He said he talks to him every now and then, and he did mention that. He said, man, that's tough for him. You guys mentioned that pressure that he had being the quarterback there. Talked about just the great athletes in his family, on both sides of his family, and the pressure that he's had to live up to during his high school career.
Mom, renowned basketball star, perhaps the best female basketball player in the history of Smith County. Wanted to go deep and launches it past the line of scrimmage. LeBron Ray was chasing. Will not flag him for intentional grounding.
No foul, intentional grounding. The quarterback was outside the pocket and the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. This is second down.
It was outside the pocket. The reason you may be scratching your head, it looks a little weird. Usually as a quarterback, you want to throw that to the near sideline.
Yeah.
Or, you know, those quarterbacks like me that didn't have the biggest arm, right? He's like, no, I'm just going to get it out of there.
Keys was recruited by Will Hall to Tulane and originally committed to the Green Wave. Hall got this job, and Keys decided to stay closer to home, and he'll scramble on this one. Nick Saban not happy. Keys steps out of bounds at the 33.
So the reason that those lanes have been there, and this is why Nick Saban is irritated right now, you start to get some reserve linebackers, reserve defensive linemen in there, rush lane integrity. It's not all about just getting to the quarterback. See 90 get outside of his rush lane there.
Yep.
You got to stay in your rush lane to make sure that you don't open up big holes, right? The previous run by Ty Keys, there was no one in the middle. Everyone's trying to win with speed on the outside. You lose your rush lane, you leave those big openings for an athletic quarterback.
Sanders got taken down on the edge. They go to the left side again. And Frank Gore Jr. taken down. It's a 42-point lead for Alabama. A quarter still to go here in Tuscaloosa. Let's take a look at our 15 minutes or less, brought to you by Geico and Will Anderson, impactful player from the jump tonight.
Yeah, one of the more talented defensive linemen in the entire conference. Guy that's going to be a high draft pick at some point in his career, and he's done a great job against the quarterback option, attacking the mesh. Those long arms that Cole showed you earlier, those are a big help when you're attacking the quarterback.
They go with the option again, and Keys gets taken down by Jalen Moody. Time stop. You saw Nick Saban get a little frustrated with some missed assignments earlier, and now he's got his team out there for third down. He told Colt at the half, we're not doing a good enough job at third down. They were sensational, 2 of 9 in the first half.
Still coaching.
Shot to the end zone. Incomplete, flag on the play. Carry is cast to the intended receiver.
On the defense, number 28. Yeah,
Josh
15-yard
Job,
penalty will be enforced from the previous
flag for
spot,
PI.
and it carries an automatic first down.
Job flagged last week against Alabama as well. He was telling Joe, play off. Got help coming from the inside. Again, this is the brilliance and the reason that Saban is able to develop these players, get the most out of his teams. It's 49-7.
Yeah.
And honestly, you wouldn't know if it was 7-7, 49-7, 100-7. He coaches the same way, down in and down out, no matter what.
Goes back to the way he looked at cut-ups of guys when he was in the league. Movement up front on Southern Miss.
False start on the offense, number 15. That's a 5-yard penalty.
And of course, Nick Saban works with the Alabama defensive backs every day. Brian Branch in the game as the defensive back, going a little bit deeper.
Timeout, Southern Mississippi.
Southern Miss will take a timeout, down by 42. Will Hall says we got to get this moving. He's got a freshman at quarterback, and that freshman at quarterback is playing against perhaps the best of all time to do it, not just in college football, but you put Nick Saban up against the best coaches in sports history, and he can more than hold his own. I'm a fan of the soundtrack for that. Belichick 6 titles. Saban's got 7, including 1 at LSU. John Wooden picked up a bunch at UCLA. And there's Phil Jackson. Lakers and Bulls.
He's got a few. Look at Bill.
Bill looks a little sour.
Yeah. Well, Tom is in Tampa, so.
I can see why he would be. All right, who's the real GOAT? Tiger, 15 major championships, but he gets multiple cracks at that every year. Tom is in Tampa, where he picked up number 7. Nick's got 7, and Michael Jordan was watching some golf this morning with cigar and coffee at 8 a.m. Breakfast of champions, I suppose.
Is that not how you started your day today?
No,
I did.
You got up earlier than I did. Little Debbie and some coffee for Nick this morning. Room for Pittman. Good blocking on the edge. It's a pickup of 6.
Especially down here in the red zone. Keep an eye on Ty Keys and his mobility. It's a nice zone read there. They call a pass play last couple times. Keys scan the field and then takes off and uses his legs. Let's see if Alabama maybe spies him down here in the red zone. Maybe Christian Harris stays in that box, plays with eyes on number 5 here.
That's number 8 in red. Keys to throw. End zone tipped and caught. A Southern Miss touchdown for DeMarcus Jones. $11-yard carom.
And it wasn't Christian Harris. It was actually Jalen Moody who was spying. You can see 42 right here, spying the quarterback. Where is he? He gets his hands on the ball, and just an unfortunate tip right in the direction of DeMarcus Jones. Christian Harris there in coverage, and yeah, didn't make Saban too happy there.
That was a long drive, 12-play, 84-yard drive for Southern Miss early in the 4th quarter. All right, Dari, thanks. Bo Nix will be the story. 13 of 27. They put him on the bench at one point, and the question remains, what's that quarterback position going to look like going forward?
Well, TJ Finley made plays at the end of that game when he had to, so you got to imagine.
Here's a playmaker, Jamison Williams again. On the run again. Down the sideline. It's his 2nd kickoff return for a score of the night. That was nearly 83 yards after a 100-yard return to open the game. Remember when the pass went off of his hands, it led to Bryce Young's interception. I said he doesn't want to hurt his average. Yep. 3 touches, 264 yards for Jalen Billingsley tonight.
That seems like a good average. If I could make a PSA to every SEC team right now, do not kick the ball to number 1. Under any circumstances, just don't do it. Not a good idea.
Well, the scouting report on Jamison Williams is that he's faster than Devontae Smith, and that guy ended up with the best hardware in the country last year.
Yeah, he's pretty good. One's pretty good, too.
They had barely finished the final tunes of Dixieland Delight before Jamison Williams got his second kickoff return for a score tonight.
Well, it's a great combination of vision, and then that's just speed. I mean, nobody is catching number 1 when he's at his top end speed right there.
Just remember last time we were here, strength coach David Balloon told me they clocked him at 23 miles per hour on his GPS. I feel like he probably hit it again there.
Yeah, I think so.
For all you wondering, too, it is pretty hard in track clothes to hit that miles per hour, let alone on a football field.
I mean, those guys have been at Indiana, they've been at IMG, they've been in Alabama. Second fastest player that they have ever clocked via GPS, Jamison Williams.
Man, oh man. Three state championships in track and field at Cardinal Ritter in St. Louis. State record for the 300-meter hurdles. He never stopped. All right, so Nick Saban's got some weapons, huh?
Did you say
yeah, I mean, come on.
It's an embarrassment of riches, right? I mean, you look at what left. Devontae Smith, like, how are they going to replace a guy like Devontae now? I'm not saying Jamison is him yet, but he is uber physically talented, probably more so than Devontae. As his route running comes along, savviness, he's going to be dangerous. So, yeah, they've reloaded completely on the outside.
I think it's fair to say and to see that this Alabama wide receiving core is getting better every game.
Again, I think I said it 2 weeks ago that I would argue this group may turn out to be as good, if not better, than what we saw. I know that sounds crazy, but Jamison Williams, John Mechie, we suddenly forget about how good he is, what he did last year. JoJo Earl is a guy that's going to explode onto the scene here very shortly.
So you get two guys right there, Williams and Mechie. How does Williams' emergence help Mechie?
It absolutely helps. I mean, think about last year, all attention was on Devontae Smith. And so John Mechie got a lot of favorable matchups, a lot of one-on-one matchups. Now, who do you guard? I mean, okay, so you shade Jamison Williams. Now Mechie's like, okay, good. Now I'm one-on-one. I mean, it's...
And then you got, I misspoke a moment ago, but the name was at the front of my mind. Then you got Jaleel Billingsley coming in at the Y.
It's just, it's honestly, it's not fair. I mean, it's crazy.
And a quarterback in Bryce Young who seems to make all the right decisions.
You guys talk about just replacing one receiver. Think about, there are 5 players from last year's offense starting right now in the NFL. When Landon Dickerson gets healthy, it'll be 6. The insanity of that statement is one that I'm not even sure that I can come to grips with.
They're down 6. Tykees has completed 50% of his passes tonight. He was not scheduled to be the starting quarterback for Southern Miss this season. Got the call due to injury. He finds Dejon Richard.
You think about getting a late start, Jordan, a guy that shows up in the summer in Tykees. I mean, didn't go through spring ball, wasn't an early unrollee in January. I mean, he gets there in the summer. That's to be thrown into action as a starting quarterback. That is not an easy task.
And I think they're going to flip on the film tonight on the way home and tomorrow as a team. And I think they're going to be pretty pleased with how Tykees has played. In a lot of adversity, he's made some big-time throws. His decision-making has actually been really good. And that was something that struggled a little bit last week in his first start against Troy. He's got a ton of talent. I think he's going to be a heck of a player in Conference USA and a guy that can really help take them to the next level, take that next step as a program.
Well, Trey Lowe had been the starting quarterback, West Virginia transfer, who's Grandpa was an All-American here in Alabama back in the day. Lowe is out with a foot injury. And it remains to be seen how soon he can return. But Ty Keyes getting some valuable experience here early in the season for Southern Miss. Jamison Williams made some history tonight with 2 kickoff returns for a score. First player in Alabama history with 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown in the same game.
How many times has that even happened anywhere? Like,
not very often. Darius Sims did it for Vandy back in 2014.
I remember that.
Baylor had Treston Ebner pull it off last year. But I mean, just throwing darts and pulling out a guy here or a guy there. 3rd and 8. They got in the backfield in a hurry. It'll turn into no gain. How about the speed off the edge from Jamil Burroughs? Cole 98's not supposed to move like that.
No, he's not. And consistency will be the word that comes up when you talk about Burroughs, a guy that just doesn't show up like this all of the time. But it's a nice read. You get an offensive lineman that's pulling, you just track him, follow back behind, going to take you right into the play. Not sure if that stun was called. Something Pete Golding's going to have to go back and take a look at, but nice quickness for the 308-pounder.
He went after Keyes like Cole goes after Chuck's fish Brussels sprouts.
oh my.
Oh, boy.
Slade Bolden back for a return. It'll be over his head. He'll let it go into the end zone. 49-yard punt. First in Alabama history. Second to have multiple kickoff returns in a career, joining Christian Jones, and he's got 2 in this game.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile, the leader in 5G, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G network.
Jamison Williams making Alabama history tonight. 2 kickoff returns for scores. Jordan, I know what you're thinking. You can answer the question. Never before in FBS history has a player had 3 kickoff return touchdowns. You think he'll get another chance?
He better not.
Nick Saban will lose his mind if he
I'll
does.
be yelling at Southern Miss from up here. Well, yeah, for that reason as well. Like, I don't think they're going to score. But
Paul Tyson in the game at quarterback for Alabama. Trace Sanders gets a couple. It's some unbelievable numbers put up by Jamison Williams. But it speaks to what Nick Saban told us about opportunities, right? Going back to when he's watching cut-ups of guys at the next level. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Southern Miss or Southern Cal. The NFL guys are going to see that on the cut-up, and they're not going to pay attention to the logo on the other helmet.
No,
they're going to see
executing.
Elite speed.
yeah, elite speed, vision. They're going to flip on the offensive plays and see route running. I mean, can I just get this? He needs 2 more receptions to match his career total at Ohio State. Career. It's amazing. It's amazing that he wasn't utilized. He comes here and he's one of the best already.
3rd and 6 for Paul Tyson. Chase from the pocket, and that one incomplete. One of the plays that Williams made was finding a spot in a hot route last week, and Bill O'Brien said if you don't know football, you just look at that play between he and Bryce Young and you don't think much of it. But if you know ball, you know how impressive that one reception was against pressure.
Yeah, because the way Alabama does things is very much like the NFL. Bryce Young handles all the protections, and if the defense blitzes, a lot of times that's handled with a hot route, but it's not necessarily built in. It's a side adjust, meaning he and the receiver, and in that case that you're mentioning last week with Jamison Williams, they got to be on the same page. They've done that already
You know who's on the same page? All of us with our jackets. We'll talk about that after this. Alabama in control. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik down on the field. Cole, it's no mistake that we're wearing plaid tonight, but it looks like you made a wardrobe change during the game.
I had to go a little bit extra further. You know, no matter where you go on this campus, I had a chance to talk to Patrick Murphy today. I ran into Nate Oates this morning. Luke Ratliff's name still comes up, better known as Fluff to Alabama fans. And we wanted to just pay a little bit more of a tribute to him because we know he means so much to so many people, not only around this university, but especially inside that athletic department. Talked to Greg Byrne about him right before the game today as well, and Patrick Murphy said, hey, I got a jacket that I had made especially for him. I want you to try to wear it. And the only thing that I can think of is that Fluff is up there right now looking at this jacket, doing Chris Farley, fat man in a little coat, as I'm wearing this thing right now, laughing at me. The only thing that would be better than this would be an FBI windbreaker, and I couldn't get my hands on one of those. So, Miss Pam, I know you're watching at home. We just wanted to tell you we're thinking about you. We still think about our guy Fluff. We know how much he meant to everybody. And just, we love you, and God bless you.
The jacket does beg for you to maybe mix in a salad.
Yeah.
And I'm just, you know, I'm hearing Fluff's voice in my head.
Well, obviously Patrick Murphy hadn't been hitting the curls anytime recently because my arms are jammed tight in this thing. I think the circulation's being cut off down to my forearms, but he was nice enough to give that to me and let me wear this. Just kind of, he had this made for Fluff, and he said, listen, if you guys are going to do it and you're going to talk about it, you got to sport this thing out there on the field tonight.
It was real cool, Murph, to provide. Luke Ratliff passed away this past summer after a bout with COVID, a quick one, and was lost way too early and too quickly. He was, to call him an Alabama super fan would be an understatement. Play clock at 1, and Keys gets it off and fires incomplete.
High Keys pass.
What do you think Will Hall takes out of this game from a Southern Miss perspective?
I think you can build a lot off some things they did on both sides of the ball on defense early in this game. That they tackled really well, that they were disruptive with some of their movement up front. Obviously, at the end of the day, Alabama's speed, their recruits, their players are just a little bit better, and that's going to show. But also offensively, I think Ty Keys did some really nice things. Moving the pocket, using his legs, a couple decisions. The throws to Grayson Gunter, the tight end, is something you can build off of, so a lot.
Ooh, JoJo Earl making it interesting. And he'll get swarmed and go the wrong way. 50-yard punt. Loss of 7 on the return.
By the wayside in Tuscaloosa sits, well, the Waysider, where Bear Bryant ate breakfast every morning. Ham steak with eggs over medium, grits, biscuits, and red-eye gravy. Today, you can sit in the Bear's chair, order the Bear's breakfast, and sink your hound's tooth right into it.
Alex Sarai McGee taking us through. There's Bear. Final home loss came to Southern Miss in 1982. Reggie Collier did the damage. Deep ball grabbed. High point by Javon Baker and a 34-yard completion from Paul Tyson. Fitting timing, the grandson of Bear Bryant with the completion.
Now, really great coverage on the outside, and a good job by Paul Tyson of not trying to lead him, not trying to put that too cute to the sideline. Just throw it up, allow your big-bodied receiver to go up and make a play, and Javon Baker did just that.
Here's Trey Sanders. Man, Trey Sanders has been through a lot, Cole, to get back on the field and contribute.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. From that car accident almost a year ago, and just to have to battle back from the things that he did. Certain people telling him they weren't sure if he was ever going to be able to play football again. And the resiliency that he showed with Jeff Allen and that strength organization, and obviously the medical staff here at Alabama, to be in this football game right now is remarkable.
Pelvis injury, internal injuries to multiple organs. 2nd and 7. Here's Sanders.
You know, Tom, when you hear Nick Saban sort of gush about what a young man has overcome, you know it's pretty serious. And he did that with us when we spoke to him, just saying You know, you guys, I don't think people even really understand, even though they know what it is and they've heard it described, people still just don't have an idea of everything he had to overcome and how bad his situation was when he arrived back on campus and knew what he was facing.
Good night running ball for Alabama. Roydell Williams 110 yards. McClellan just 3 yards away from being the second 100-yard rusher. Tyson got hit as he threw. Wide open. There's another first down. It's Cameron Latu making big moves down the sideline. It's a 22-yard gain.
Great anticipation by Paul Tyson. He throws this ball under pressure, but also before Cameron Latu was even out of his break. So a good job leading the tight end to the outside under pressure. That's why he put a little more air on it. He threw that ball so early, wanted to make sure it hung up just long enough for Latu to get out of his break and make the catch.
And Josh Carr in his face. Right now they'll mix it up, and Tyson comes out of the game after taking that shot. And Jalen Milroe in at quarterback. This is what he can do.
What did I say down on the field in warmups? I said if 2 gets in, the first time he touches the ball, he might take it to the house. Jalen Milroe might be the fastest, might be the best athlete on this entire team.
On the offense, number 75, 10-yard penalty.
That's not me saying that.
Replay first down.
I mean, for perspective, we got a guy with 2 kickoff returns for a score.
I know, but we were at practice a couple weeks ago, and the coaching staff was saying, look, I mean, this kid might be the fastest on the team. He looks like a strong safety, an NFL strong safety. He plays quarterback. I mean, a guy that could play a ton of different positions on this team.
And Cole, we talked to Bill O'Brien about it. His eyes lit up at what Jalen Milroe could possibly do for this program.
Well, and he was excited that the playbook's actually expanded. You know, he told us that there are 3 different playbooks for all 3 quarterbacks. And we asked him, has it grown? He said, absolutely. And it was cool to be at practice again Thursday watching Jalen. He sits there behind Bryce Young. He goes through the mesh. You see him actually sort of air throwing behind him. He's going through his progressions and reads. He wants to be a quarterback, and he's putting in the work, and obviously Bill O'Brien telling us that he's definitely getting closer.
So the question he wants answered, and whether it gets answered in this game or not with Jalen Milroe, is can you read the coverage? And here's a test for him. And he will take off. Man. Slides down after a pickup of 3, and that will leave 2nd and long.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, when he gets going, he's kind of got that little forward lean when he starts to run. It looks very familiar to another number 2 that played here about 2 decades ago.
By the way, note on Bryce Young tonight, he completed 91% of his passes. He'll be the first player in Alabama history to complete 90% of his passes and throw 5 passing touchdowns in one game.
That's good, huh?
Yeah, once again.
You know, new starter replacing Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa, 2 of the best that have done it at that position in the SEC, let alone at Alabama. And just breaking records through your first 4 starts like it's another day at the office, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When we talked to O'Brien, and he's going to go deep into the end zone, a flag on the play, and it's caught by Baker. 24-yard touchdown strike. Bill O'Brien said if you're a quarterback and you don't understand protections, you can't play. He's proven now tonight he can't play.
Yeah, had a blitz coming up the middle, understood that it was going to get picked up, and then throws a great dart to the outside to Baker, who fights through the really hand checking there from Rayshawn Mitchell on the outside to make another great play in tight coverage.
2 big grabs for Javon Baker. First down and a touchdown.
Tell you what, Milroe can throw it too. He can spin it. When that ball comes out of his hand, it is moving.
Alabama has extended its lead 63-14. That's significant to some. And they got a big one on deck. Let's take a look at the road to the championship, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Matt Corral at Ole Miss will be here in a week, and he is with a week off. Lane Kiffin out in California, according to his social media. Matt Corral leading the SEC coming in the week in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Matt Corral is the best player in the country right now. He's so dynamic with his legs. He's got incredible arm talent as well. You see the numbers there. Led the nation in total offense last year. He is absolutely a legitimate threat to Alabama.
He saw a touchdown pass in 15 straight games, third longest behind only Chad Kelly and Eli Manning, and the first player in SEC history with 3 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns in a single game. How big is the advantage for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss to be off this week before Bama next?
It's huge. An extra week of film, an extra week of game planning. Think about it, last year it was what, 63-48 I think was the final against Ole Miss. It was something like that, but Ole Miss put up 48 points, gave up a ton obviously, but Ole Miss's offense is as good if not better this year, and Ole Miss's defense is a lot better than it was last year.
Well, the defense had to get better.
Yeah, absolutely, but it did. Not just lip service to say it got better. That defense, DJ Durkin, the defense coordinator, has them playing at a higher intensity. Schematically, they're better.
So what are your expectations? Ole Miss comes in here, afternoon game next week after a week off, and Lane Kiffin may be the best play caller in college football.
Yeah, I expect a barn burner. I expect a lot of points. I expect Alabama and Bryce Young are going to have to go blow for blow. And the first really big mistake on defense or big turnover, I think, is really going to change the game.
How pumped up is Lane going to be to come in here?
Oh, are you kidding? He lives for it. He's probably already got 3 or 4 tweets in his drafts right now, just waiting to get fired up. You know, he's on the plane out to LA, probably firing up a few sarcastic jabs or something like that, you know.
Bill O'Brien referenced Lane Kiffin this week when we met with him. And I asked him, you're out of college football for a while. He said, yeah, the 7 years I was out of college football, a lot has changed. He said, but I kept track of the game through draft prep, and I saw what guys like Lane and Hugh Freeze and Sark were doing. He said, when I was at Penn State, we could run the ball 35 times a game and win. Everybody in the Big Ten played cover 4. Brett Bielema was at Wisconsin. It was a running league, and now Lane Kiffin comes in to Nick Saban's program. They decide to rehaul the entire offensive attack, and what college football turns into a copycat league too, right? And now all of a sudden everybody going more up-tempo, and Bill O'Brien took note of that.
More up-tempo, and I think one of the staples of Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, and also let's not forget Jeff Levy calling a majority of the plays as well, is an unbelievable play caller. The staple is a lot of misdirection and eye candy pre-snap, at the snap, and that is one thing that Alabama and the linebackers did struggle with, some of the movement across the formation last week from Florida. So that's something they're going to have to get shored up, because Ole Miss will bring a lot of it next week.
I want to talk about Alabama's defensive presence in a moment, especially next week with as many plays as Ole Miss is going to run. But Bill O'Brien said, I don't mean this in an egotistical way, but when I was coaching at Penn State, I didn't really need a call sheet.
Yeah.
They weren't going to be multiple defensively, so whatever I had, I knew already what was going to work and what wasn't. You face more diverse defenses. Now all of a sudden, all right, we got to go down the list and find what's really going to work.
All right, we got to have answers, right?
Yeah.
And that's what has changed so much in college football from really when Bill O'Brien, as you mentioned, was at Penn State to now, both defensively and offensively. The tempo is faster, but it used to be when the tempo was fast, things got simpler. Right. It's not that case, anymore. People have caught up to the tempo. That's normal now, so you're able to be more exotic and more diverse on both sides of the ball with the pace still going fast, and that's what Ole Miss will do next week.
Nick Saban instructed JoJo Earle to take a fair catch on this punt. Won't get a chance to do that. Alabama will take a knee in a moment. Hey, thanks to Wheels Up, helping make travel easier. Jordan was at Nation in Columbia, South Carolina this morning, here in Tuscaloosa tonight. Speaking of tempo and plays, Cole, has this Alabama defense shown you that they can be out there for a high number of plays against Ole Miss next week, especially the front?
I don't know if we learned that necessarily tonight, Tom, but I do think you had a chance to work your depth a little bit more. Find a few more bodies that can go give you 5 reps, 8 reps in that game, because you went 72 snaps against Florida. I know it was hot. I know it was a different environment. but you were gassed out a little bit in the fourth quarter of that game. I would be concerned about that. Now, is the weather going to be a little bit cooler? Maybe. Still going to be a 2:30 game, and you're going to be talking about a team that wants to run 100 plays in that game. So some of the depth, some of the bodies that got in tonight might have to play a critical role in that game against Ole Miss next week.
By the way, I know it's still early in the season. We'll just be into October, but that could be a Heisman-defining game between the two Heisman favorites next Saturday afternoon. Alabama took care of business in more ways than one tonight. Nick Saban's team got multiple kickoff returns for a touchdown from Jamison Williams, including the opening kickoff of the game. They put up 63 points, including 42 in the first half. Bryce Young completes 91% of his passes, 5 touchdowns and a pick. He threw for 313. Roydell Williams ran for 100 yards. They held Southern Miss to just 82 rushing yards. A lot to like about this game for Alabama, which could serve as a tune-up. Cole is standing by with Nick Saban.
Coach Saban, you weren't necessarily pleased with your team's effort in the first half. Did you feel like they improved in the second half?
No, I thought we played a good game today. I thought we played with intensity the whole game. We played with good energy, which is what we were trying to, do in this game. Doesn't matter who you play. It was really about us and how we played and how we improved as a team. So I thought we did a lot of good things in this game, so hopefully we can build on it.
Specifically execution on defense. Did you see more of what you wanted to see in this game as opposed to maybe last week?
Well, they did a lot of stuff we didn't practice, all that orbit motion and getting in two-back, kind of option type stuff. I thought our players did a pretty good job of adjusting to it. We messed it up a couple times in the first half, but in the second half, I think we played a little bit better.
Coach, I just want to commend you. You've done an excellent job coaching up Jamison Williams in the return game. How do you do that?
Well, we don't have to coach them much. We just do a good job of blocking. All right, so it does help when we do a good job of executing. So we thought they over-squeezed a lot, so we bounced to the field in the first play of the game, and he ran for a touchdown. So, he's an electrifying player, and he made a lot of good plays in this game.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Nick Saban confirming nothing happens by accident around this program. They saw the look. They got it. He started off 7-0. They never stopped. That's the story from here. Dari, it's all to you.
With Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, excellent performance tonight. Just tell us what you saw tonight that allowed you to have success.
Yeah, first off, all glory to God. But I think we had a great plan. We had a good week of practice. We felt like there's a lot that we had to improve on. I think we did a good job. The line did a great job in the pass game protecting for me. Running back, same thing, protecting. Did a good job. Giving the running back lanes and the receivers made my job a lot easier.
The coaching staff emphasized to us that play action, maybe not so much RPO, but play action was going to be more important for you guys in this game and then down the road. Felt like you had success with that. Why is that so much different for why you and your offense can have success?
Yeah, we really emphasized trying to be balanced, and we felt like that was an area that we definitely could improve on from the first couple of games. So it was a little bit of an emphasis in practice. I think we did some good things. Get to watch the film, see what we can improve on. But we want to just make sure we're as well-rounded as we can be.
Southern Miss Golden Eagle came over and dapped you and said congrats after the game. Is that the first mascot to congrats you after a win?
That is actually that's a first. That's a first. But they're a really good team. Good program. Had a good scheme coming in. So this is a good win. This is one that we want to make sure that we can build off of, and again watch the film so we can improve off of, and then keep it going next week.
Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you.